Growing your business is tough, but don't worry, we've got you covered. We interview industry experts on how they've solved their most challenging business problems in SaaS or e-commerce. No fluff, just step-by-step playbooks to help you dominate your market and crush the competition. This is the How We Solve podcast. Here's your host.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Anna Szymanowska, the founder of Fighter Shots, a ginger-based health drink that boosts your immunity and improves well-being. Anna, how are you doing?
I'm very good today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. By the way, do you prefer Anya, Anna? I should have asked.
Anna, I think it's less confusing for people. Yeah, Anna.
Okay, we will stick with Anna then. So, really interesting product here. I'm excited to learn more about it. My wife is very much into like natural ingredients, health foods, things like that. And she's a foodie too. So I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. But I have to start with your bio. It says you have a background in industrial engineering and renewable energy. I'm kind of wondering how you ended up doing Fighter Shots here.
Yeah, the background does help, I think, a lot. My very first one in industrial engineering is all about manufacturing processes, how to figure out a product that is like made in the best way, best quality, at best cost and obviously in time. And this is actually what I have been dealing a lot, leading this Fighter Shots business. Obviously, many people would say that sales is the most difficult. Obviously, it's not easy, to sell a product in a very crowded market, having limited budget for marketing. But on the other hand, I also do believe that you have to have the best quality product first, that you want to sell to someone. Nailing this is not that easy. So even though I'm trading for over 1 year, there are literally so many problems, at each manufacturing batch, because there are so many suppliers I'm dealing with. And each time, although I'm buying many ingredients that are kind of standard, it does happen that, there is small, just differences. Especially recently, I have some problems with packaging. So it turns out that not every cup is the same. We have some manufacturing issues because of this. So having this background in industrial engineering, I think makes me more resilient, I would say, if it comes to these topics. I do know that it's a whole different story, manufacturing than anything else I'm doing. So definitely something, it's very important to have, I think, such a background.
Okay, that was convincing. That was a convincing case as to, why industrial engineering relates to, food manufacturing. So I believe you on that. So tell me more then about the specific story, so to speak, of actually getting started with Fighter Shots. Where does that come from?
It's really a mix of different things. So basically, I did think, that having a manufacturing business would allow me to put in practice, the skills I have learned over 5 years when studying this degree. Second is obviously the love, for natural products that actually do good to you. And I liked myself, ginger shots. So I thought this is something, I would myself buy and pay money for. So having, this confidence that it's a good product and you like it yourself makes it easier, I think, as well, to make it like a business out of it. A third thing is definitely the kind of idea of sales channels, what I would be selling. So obviously you need to have the product, but you also need to have kind of an idea how to sell it and where to sell it. And I realized that there is a whole kind of, I would say, area or kind of category of customers, which would be offices. And I thought I'd like to sell, the product to them. I thought, it's a great product because the shots are in small bottles. So they are great on the go. They are aimed at people that, don't have much time yet value quality products. And, they use it to boost their immunity, to have a product that wakes them up, that replaces coffee, gives them energy, keeps them going. So I thought, this is the kind of customer I'm going to talk to. Being based in London as well has helped a lot because this is the city, where there is lots of companies that do invest in customers. So I thought, it's a great, place here to start such a business. And so all these things together kind of made me decide this is what I want to do.
Very cool. I love that. There's a product in the US, I don't know if you have it in Britain, it's called 5 Hour Energy. And it's filled with junk. And so it's not like yours. But I think that the intent, which is this, sort of a small shot or boost of energy, is similar. So it kind of makes me think of that. I'm really curious, how does one come up with the ingredients for a product? I mean, you don't need to actually spell it out, the exact quantities and proportions. I don't want to give a very secret. But, it's okay, we know ginger's, good for you and stuff like that. But where do you really come up with the ingredients, the proportions? How do you kind of do that?
So basically, all of the ingredients that I have in my main product, Ginger Shot, have some benefits, and they all kind of, are meant to play a role. Ginger is the base, which has the strength, the zing, as people say. Honey is a very interesting one because not many people know what are the actually properties of honey. Honey is antibacterial. So when you get like any inflammations or like when you get some bacterial infections, honey is great cure for that. So it definitely is a ingredient, that plays a very important role to kind of help you with these bacterial, infections. And then lemon is obviously great, source of vitamin C. And vitamin C is as well, important when you want to fight colds and flus. So all the three ingredients I thought, would be great to support people.
Interesting. Was there a lot of testing during that process to kind of come up with like, oh no, that's too much ginger or not enough lemon, or you swapped out ingredients? And was it something you were doing at home first, like in your own kind of kitchen, and then it became more mass produced? I mean, how did that kind of go about?
I guess every food or kind of, small business would tell you that they did start, in the kitchen, literally. In my case, that was a product I was just preparing myself, and, I was just peeling the ginger, squeezing lemons. And I realized this actually is so much work, I even had a professional cold press machine. But even with that, it's just like every day it just takes so much time. So I was thinking, I guess other people would appreciate, if I was doing this for them. So research, manufacturing companies that would do this at scale. But definitely you start, in your kitchen, and how you also go about the ingredients. It's actually two ways. One of them is that you definitely want to have, the amount of ingredients that, would actually make a difference. So in the case of ginger, I didn't want to have too little of it because it would then not bring you anything. And obviously, I also wanted to balance it like with the other ingredients. So there was a few iterations. We definitely tested it with a few people and then decided, okay, this is what we go for. But it doesn't mean that it's all kind of finished. I do always think that, you should always try to improve. And basically, I can tell you that although we've been selling right now for over 1 year, the Ginger Shot, and people love it. I literally have received, so many compliments on the product. We still think it can be improved. And basically our improvement that we are doing right now is changing the pure honey, although it's already great quality, honey that we use. We will change it for an even better honey, which will be the Manuka honey. It's known, it's honey that comes from New Zealand, and it's known for its even, stronger antibacterial properties. So it's definitely still, a work in progress, our products.
Very cool. Yeah. Job is never done. When you think about improvement with a food-based product, I mean, what's sort of the metric that you kind of measure it by? Is it mainly taste, because that's the one thing that everybody can kind of get their head around and say this tastes better than that? Is it some sort of effect afterward, focus or energy? I mean, that's a little bit of a difficult thing to measure, I would assume. Or is it just a natural sort of the knowledge that the ingredient A is just better than ingredient B based on research and stuff like that? How do you measure improvement?
I do think, the first role of the product is to, bring some improvement and kind of how, people feel afterwards before taste. So yeah, we definitely will not compromise on the, amount of ginger. There would be no point of having 5%, let's say, although some shots have that little, because I don't think, that will make any difference in your health. But it's really not one thing. I think it's a function of the benefits and of the taste, because if that was also horrible, I think people would not take it, as often as we would want them to take it, right? Ideally, the product should create, a habit. And it's hard to talk about a habit if you are meant to take something you just really hate, that is very tasty. So I would say it's definitely two things. It's the benefit of the ingredient, so, the right proportion, but also the taste. And we're just lucky that, the honey, I believe, makes it really well balanced, and also great quality honey. So we work with a very good supplier here in the UK. And we do think, that the honey does make a difference, because it's a very good, tasty honey that makes it, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I love honey. Put it in my smoothies. Very cool. So production. Interested to learn a little bit more about that again, because I feel like food always has a little bit of a uniqueness to it. Do you have ingredients they may be sourced from different places, and then somebody has to bottle it? Is it all one person that kind of does this? Is it like some group of people they have to kind of get together? I mean, how does it kind of work?
Actually, I was surprised when I visited the factory that there were, I think, 20 people working on this at the time, because there are different steps, definitely. So, yeah, basically you have to mix the product itself. But then, there is different stages, right? There is, cupping it. There is, putting labels. There is pasteurizing, I think, before that. Then you have to package it. If we are producing several thousand units a day, it's definitely, even though the processes are half automated, there are always some steps where, someone has to bring them from A to B, right? So it's never 100%, people free. So yeah, there are several people working at a time on the product, although it's so small, it looks like it's easy, but definitely many, many steps in there.
And is there an approval process that something needs to go through in order to be able to sell direct to the consumer, especially if it's food-based? Like we have the FDA in the US, I assume you have something similar. How does that work?
So in the UK, there are two certifications that your factory should have. One is SALSA and one is BRC. It's the British certification. My factory has the SALSA certification. Once you have it, you are free to sell in most of the places in the country, and I think also outside of the EU they do accept that. I haven't been selling in the US yet. I guess the FDA approval would have been required. We haven't looked into this yet, but yeah, the SALSA approval, and then also what it requires is that obviously all the HACCP processes have to be in place, but the factory takes care of it, and also obviously they test each time the product. So they send samples to the lab, and they make sure that there is no bacteria, that can grow and spoil the product. And based on that, they also can give the shelf life. So because our product's pH is very low, we have also honey in it, which is antibacterial, means, there is very little bacteria. So the product is good for a year. It actually was surprising even to me that, a natural product can be good that long, but it is basically because, of the honey and because of the low pH. And it's good for a year. There is no bacterial activity in it, but it has to be still tested just to make sure in the lab each time.
So you've got the product now, it's sort of been produced and everything like that. How do you go about getting it out there? I assume you can't just kind of walk into a store, put it on a shelf. There's a process to be featured there, or maybe you're only online, which is totally fine, but then you still got to get traffic and stuff.
Yeah, so sales is obviously a very complex process. We have been selling in literally as many channels as we can. Maybe this is also down the line that won't be, the best strategy. But as of now, yes, we've been selling online through our website. It's a whole story, how do you drive traffic to the website? You have to do partnerships with other companies that the promotion for you. We started doing outdoor marketing. Obviously, you have to work on the SEO, you do Google ads, all these things, to drive traffic. Then you have online marketplaces like Amazon, where you also have the whole marketing support you can use. Then there is so many other online health stores in the UK. We sell in the food market. We sell in Yambos. I think over 10 different, sales channels there. Now, because of COVID, obviously the wholesale has stopped. We've been sending, previously as well to the product to wholesalers, but it is meant to be resumed. So very soon we hope to be selling again in health stores, in coffee shops. But also what I've learned during the journey is that really it is so worth it, go via a supplier. Although they take huge margins, around probably 15%. At the beginning, I was thinking why would you give someone 15%? That's so much. But I think otherwise you would be just so busy with dealing with the individual accounts. I've learned as well, we've been selling to a few direct coffee shops. It's very time consuming to, each time invoice them, make sure they are paying on time, making follow-ups. It's so much better to, have a wholesaler. So this definitely will become the strategy. So in May last month, we've signed with, two big wholesalers here in the UK. And hopefully through them, we'll be selling to a few retail stores and to healthcare.
Yeah, congratulations on those accounts, by the way. And you mentioned COVID, and I saw, I don't know if it was in a source or an interview, you mentioned that maybe because of the situation with COVID, you've been seeing an uptick in online sales. I think people are looking for immune boosting ingredients, things like that. Tell us a little more about that. Were you surprised?
I think, the COVID in this kind of business was a I shouldn't say good, but like interesting experience because, on one side, obviously it limited some parts of the business. But on the other hand, because, it's a product that is meant to boost your immunity, help you with like colds and flus, it became very popular. And I think demand for this kind of product has increased because it has, this particular angle to it. So in that case, yes, the online sales have gone, really through the roof, especially when people started stocking up. We're selling like, cases of 12, which I also thought like, buying 12 at a time is already like, a huge amount. It turned out that like, some people would buy 10, 15 cases individuals at a time. So definitely sales went up strongly. So that was, I guess, very, very good in that sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of this idea about the business is really struggling right now. And that is really the case for the majority. But there are also some that had the opposite reaction if you're just in the right place, I guess, at the right or wrong time, however you want to call it. But what's on tap for the next couple of months? Do you have any ideas for maybe additional products that you might be coming out with, or just more of a sales and marketing strategy right now?
So I just read literally yesterday, I finished this book about marketing, 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. I would recommend this book really to anyone thinking about doing some marketing for their product. And basically, this book has just confirmed really what I was thinking, that it's really good to keep, your line as lean as possible. So obviously you could be starting 100 new products, but I think it is better to focus on what you have, because there is definitely market, for the product we have, and to make the one that we have better and just figure out new channels of sales rather than just expanding the line. In that sense, because of this, we are not immediately looking, into completely new products. Just focus on the one and make it better. As I mentioned, the idea how to really improve it is to add Manuka honey to it. We've been talking to our customers and we realize that many buy it because they want to, boost their immunity, and they also know what Manuka honey is. We will be now testing if really that, translates into sales. We hope it will be. If not, obviously we can always go back, see if there is no business case, we can always go back to our initial formula. But the plan is to test the Manuka honey in our ginger shots. And if that works, we could be then proudly saying that we are the first, Manuka honey ginger shot, at least in the UK, hopefully in the world.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed hearing about the journey here. If people would like to, learn more about you, find you, where should they go?
The website, there are contact details. So it would be really great to receive any feedback, any comments, any suggestions. I'm always open to that.
For sure. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a discount code for listeners at How We Solve for 15% off. Is that right?
Yes, I guess it will be probably in the UK only, because we don't ship to US. It's too far. But
that's okay.
In the UK and Europe, I believe, should work as well.
Awesome. Cool. And that looks like How We Solve, all one word, all caps. So thank you very much for, that generous contribution. Pleasure talking with you, Anna, and best of luck on, the Manuka honey introduction of that ingredient.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Seeing your competitor outrank you on the first page of Google sucks, especially knowing that 92% of all traffic goes to results on the first page. Getting quality backlinks for your website is hard. Not with shortlist.io. We build highly relevant, contextual, and most importantly, clean backlinks for your business to help you crush the competition. Ready to start? Get shortlisted on search engines now and visit shortlist.io. That's shortlist.io.
Thanks for listening to the How We Solve podcast. Dominate your market and crush the competition with our step-by-step playbooks. Subscribe right now in your favorite podcast player or visit howwesolve.com.